Hey ye, hey ye, hey ye. Welcome to another episode of Ball at All Cost. We are here doing it again, and this time we've got our brother Marcus in the building. Baller Linkup. We are going in behind the scenes. What is Baller Linkup? How did they come about? How do I get my youth there? That's a joke. But so we're gonna do all of that in this show tonight. But before we do that, you know what to do. We need you to like and subscribe. Make sure you're pressing the like button and the subscribe button. But before we get into Baller Linkup and what is Baller Linkup, we do what is always customary. We do our kind of well-being checks, which is so important. And I'm going to reach out to you, Dan, first, my bro. How are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Just returned back from holiday, straight into work. And obviously, yesterday the boys kicked off the season, JPL season, and that was a good game. Boys did well. I was rested. Now I'm tired again. So we're here. You know how we do. Another blessing here to see another week go by. So it's all good, man. And yourself and Marcus, it's good to be here today as well.
Yeah, no, lovely. And it's always important to kind of get them holidays in. That's the thing about holidays, when you're there and you're resting and then you come back into business as usual and it almost kind of wipes out. But no, I hear you, bro, and it's so good to see you. So good to see you all fresh, and I hear you. And Marcus, big up to you, my bro. Before we get into it, how are you?
I'm good. Like, high frequency as always, full of energy, full of motivation, ready to take over the world. That's what I am on each day. I wake up and I'm just ready to just level up. That's what I'm about.
I love that. And that's probably why the energy, the positive vibes, why Baller Linkup is doing the big things that we're going to be hearing about today. I'll just speak for myself. I'm kind of glad that we're coming to the end of the summer period. As much as I love the tournament season, I do love it. It's an opportunity for the boys to win things and to have fun, and even for us as parents to kind of connect. But I'm here, waiting with bated breath because the season for us kicks off next week. And I don't know about you, but this kids' football is starting to become more and more interesting. Though they seem to get, because next week we kick off with some disgusting initial fixtures in terms of the strengths of the teams that we're playing. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the training pre-season and in terms of what prep. And how the boys kind of show up for that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm in a good space, and I'm really delighted to be here this evening. So on that note, Marcus, I think it only makes sense for me when I hear Ballers Link Up. My code name is De Genio. Do you get me? Because if you can't see it in my face, I've got a bit of a kind of Brazilian kind of samba vibe in the way that I walk and the way that I manipulate the ball. And so when I saw Ballers linking up, for me, is it what it says on the tin? Tell us about how you came up with the name. Tell us what your organization is about.
Okay, so as you said, Baller Linkup is exactly what it says on the tin to begin with, but it's evolved since then. So how it started off was quite organic. My son plays for Watford Academy. He's at under 14, doing well. A couple of years ago, we're fairly new in terms of just about hit the 2-year mark since we first started. I found myself traveling all around London trying to find him, a high level group of boys to play with. I thought to myself, why am I traveling to south or to north or wherever I was going to just get a good environment? It wasn't necessarily about the coach, just about who he's playing with. So then I thought to myself, let me get all the top boys, whether it's signed or elite grassroots, in my area under one umbrella, which is why I call it a baller. My phone. Yeah. During summer of 2023, I just said, look, all the top boys come to goals in Ruislip and we just have games. Okay. So I found we started off with having just 5-a-side, emulating that South London cage football, which, you don't really get over where I am now. Like, my family are from South, like Lewisham, Catford, but I'm over Northwest London. So I understand what you get when you're in those types of environments. That but with high level players, and it really it was exciting. Everyone was loving it. Something new. When you're playing with me, it's kind of half football, half MMA, but within reason. It's all good. So obviously we couldn't do five-a-side cage football throughout the whole season. So it come to a point where the season's starting now. They're getting back to school, and everyone's saying to me, "You can't stop this now. This is great." I'm saying, "Okay, then. Well, I can't just be having five-a-side games. It needs to be a structure." So at that, I teamed up with my son's small, like, one-to-one coach stroke small group session coach. I said, "Look, I've got these great group of boys here. I'm not personally a coach to be setting out sessions. Do you want to team up?" And he was like, basically, yes. So then he took over the sessions during the week. That just grew and developed. You know, we still had our blueprint of we called it Cage Wars, which was the five-a-side football thing. Yeah. We had that every holiday, but during the season, it was just high-level training, a lot of academy boys, and as I said, elite grassroots boys. Then it got to a point where the boys wanted games, including the academy boys, okay? I'm not a person to really abide by the academy rules. For me, it's all about the development of the boys, okay? So a lot of parents get scared, thinking to themselves they can't play outside of the academy sent. Listen, if your boy is not performing, they're going to release him, okay, at the end of the season, whenever their contract up. So me, I take control of it and I do what's right for my boy. So then he was playing Saturdays for me and the rest of the boys, and then Sunday he'll go to Watford and play his games there. That grew because you don't get a lot of grassroots players having the chance to play with signed players because, as I said, the signed players' parents are often too scared. So it was quite a rare thing that attracted more high-level grassroots, and they got to see what an academy player looked like. Because a lot of the time, it's a hidden world, the academy. A lot of the time, they don't get to see the level of, if it's even level sometimes, but get to see what an academy player looks like. So then we had loads of boys just coming, getting involved with us, loving the environment because we're also very, motivational, no blame policy, no shouting at the kids, just encouragement. Obviously, we're going to be assertive and demand hard work, but we're not going to pigeonhole boys and suppress them, So the environment was amazing, or is amazing as well. So from that, we've just developed from month to month. I told you, I'm a very ambitious person. I wake up every day with enthusiasm to do better than yesterday and last week. And I kind of push that same blueprint with my players and parents. So we're all in alignment with what we're trying to achieve. So from that, we've then obviously started entering tournaments and having loads of showcase games. And then where the names kind of blowing up, the scouts started coming in, and now they come to me regularly for players. We've been involved in a lot of signings, a lot of trials, opportunities, and it's spiraling out of control now in a good way. So that's where we're at now.
I love that. And we're going to get an opportunity to kind of delve in more into the success stories and all of those things because, Marcus, you kind of speak to my kind of spirit. And the reason why I say you speak to my spirit is something that I've always thought like, I feel like sometimes the way that parents worship grassroots coaches, some of them, and how they worship the academy, is almost like they stop using their mind, their ability to critically think, and they just kind of hand over their children over to somebody who might be good or might not be good. And one of the things I've always said, and me and Dan always have this conversation all the time, is as a parent, you've got to kind of still have a hold on your child. You know your child the best. People tell me, for example, I know, for example, my son needs Saturday football in order for him to be able to perform on a Sunday. That for me is that I know, because I know my son. My son is very much routine. Marcus, there was a couple of things that kind of came out for me. So thank you for kind of sharing that. And you got me got me thinking. And one of the things that I can say is that I really resonated with what you were saying, like in terms of that kind of connection, that kind of spirit. Because for me, with my son, I definitely think it's important to have a bit more control over what he does. I know some people just hand over to the coaches, to the academies, but ultimately, as parents, you know what makes your child tick, you know what doesn't make them tick. And so I try to factor that in. And one of the things I noticed about my boy in particular is that he's very routine. So as soon as I take something out of his routine, I will see that in his performance. And it could be something as basic as he has like a one-to-one. He might not need a one-to-one no more, but I feel like that contact time gets him to just be in his kind of zen element. But if he doesn't do that one-to-one, for example, he's just off key, off kilter. But so I hear you taking the lead, not also worshipping the coaches like they're gods. Not saying that you can't respect the coaches. I feel like have respect for the coaches, but also be a parent, have that critical mind, be prepared to ask questions. I feel like a lot of parents sometimes can be a bit passive. So I love the stuff that you're doing. Two things came up that I wanted to just quickly drill down on quickly. The first being, why was it so important for you that your boy needed to play with these high level players? He's already at Watford Academy. So why did you need to do this extra thing?
I believe in iron sharpening iron, that common terminology used. Okay. And a lot of parents think that once their child's in the system and signed, that's the battle won. That's where the journey starts. You cannot just leave the training to the academies, because a lot of the training isn't of a great level, in all honesty, in my opinion. So it's what you do outside of the academy that would really separate your boy from the rest. And I think that's a common mistake. I've seen boys when I've gone there. We've been there 3 years now, and some of the boys have actually regressed. The ones that aren't doing the work outside and they're just playing it very safe, leaving it to the academy, they haven't progressed at all. 3 years, no development. So I believe a lot of the parents need to get educated on what to do. They work on specific training. They don't work on character, vocality, pitch presence, all these types of grey areas that aren't focused on. They then, if they don't hit the same level of maturity as other boys, then they stay as just kids and, don't develop accordingly. So for me, he has to be in that aggressive group. He has to be around boys that are better than him or in the same level to push him. Otherwise, it's just going to be another one random boy that doesn't get re-signed eventually.
I hear that, and that makes sense. And I think also, like, there's something that I've been noticing even at the grassroots. I feel like there's something about the quality that is around your child. Sometimes, are you a believer that if the quality is low, I know there's this idea about you're needing to be around better boys or boys of the same level, but is that also because in terms of what some of the things that you're wanting your child to do, you need people of that level to be able to execute it? For example, something as basic as a 1-2. If the brother that is playing with your child, they're trying to do a 1-2 and they've got a heavy toe, do you know what I mean? It's just a bit of a mess. Or your child has made the run and this child is going to dribble. He's not going to make that pass. I don't know what you could possibly gain from that. And I sometimes find that coaches are trying to encourage the kids to still do the right thing, even though it's a hot mess around them. What's your thoughts around that?
I think predominantly I like the fact of, as I said, the boys, if they're of a high level, being in a high level group. But I also think there could be benefits when they do get a chance to be the main player and be around weaker players. I think it can also build character, because if you're just in a team that wins every week, you get your own way, you know, you're playing with amazing players, then that's easy. People in life grow when things get difficult. That's just a fact. And humbled. And what I say to certain players is that when the team around you isn't of a high level, then do you know what? That's an opportunity there. So in a dark place, that can give you the opportunity to shine even brighter. So don't put your head down and start saying, "Oh, no one's good." Do you know what? Work harder and be that saving, you know, the savior of your team, and showcase how good you are. Work harder, show character, build your team up. So there's some kids that need to be the top of the group as a part of their development, you know, and there's other kids that if you put them in a group that's a bit too high level or they're being challenged, that may have the opposite effect on them, you know. So it comes down to what type of child you got. It comes down to their character. You've got to do things at the right time as well. So there was a time, as I say, I refer to my son, where going into not being the main person in the group might have been more damaging for him. Now, he needs to be not the main person and work to be the main person, you know. So you got to assess the child and know what's right for them at that particular time in their development.
Yeah, fantastic, man, Marcus. Fantastic. Look, we've got a bag of questions that we're going to throw at you tonight. Dan, is there any questions from yourself? Because I could go on.
Yeah, no, for me, I'm gonna go like more about Baller Linkup itself, and ultimately, when you hear about ballers, the word baller means you must be good. Yeah, you have to be. Someone's gonna call you a baller in your peer group. A coach might recognize you as a baller. So when you advertise, because I've seen it, and funny enough, I've had a scout message me, reach out to me, and show me your latest talent ID that's coming up next month. Yeah. So as you said, scouts are out there. They know. They've sent me the invite, saying, "Look at this. It looks like a really good thing." So how do you explain to parents, what a baller really is? Because everyone thinks their kid's a baller, and being in that environment might not be the right environment for some kids sometimes. Being around those really elite players might be more damaging than beneficial. Because obviously you're not a grassroots team. You are identifying and finding talent that are not there, not being seen maybe, and you're showcasing these boys. So what conversations or situations have you had where parents feel their son are a level, but you've seen them, you assess them, and you think, you know what, you're not quite there yet? What are the strategies you maybe offer or guidance for these parents?
No, I just think for me, the best policy is being honest. You know, I'll let them know that, you know what, your boy isn't of the standard yet, but we can help him, you know, because so how it is that boys can come training. We do expect the boys to be of a certain level, otherwise we will redirect them elsewhere. You can't just come to our sessions and be a novice in the game. As you said, it's a baller link up. So if you're not a baller, then this ain't the place for you. Like, we'll even kind of guide you away from us in terms of, I don't mind advising parents that aren't even involved with us directly. I'm happy to do that. You know, I'm that kind of person. But then, obviously, if you're not of the standard, if the child isn't up to the standards, then we'll let them know, listen, this is what he needs or she needs to work on, for example, and we'll help them with that structure. So even if they're not going to be a part of what we're doing, we're happy to still give advice. You know, that's just how we are. We want to see each child become the best versions of themselves. Not all of them are going to be academy players and professionals. That's fine. It's what they get from the journey, you know. So we want to help them regardless to a certain degree. And then when they come to us, if they get through and say they're of the level to train with us, then we also have the showcase team. Some of them can train, but they're not up to the standard to be showcased, you know. And some of them will ask me, okay, how come I'm not in the showcase team, so on and so forth. And I'll tell them straight, do you think you are ready to be signed? Do you think you're ready for academy football? Or your son's ready for academy football? If the answer is no, then that's why you're not actually in the team. You know, so it's primarily for opportunities. It is for development purposes as well. So the ones that aren't quite there yet, then if they do come and spend, I don't know, 8, 12, 16 weeks in that team, then that could be a part of their program to get them ready for that. You know, so some of them aren't ready for it immediately, but playing in that environment helps them get there. And others we've got that just aren't of that level anytime soon. So yeah, that's predominantly how it works with us.
Thank you, Marcus. Glenn, any more?
Yeah, no, I think for me, I think the showcase thing across the country is growing. Yeah. So I think everyone now that can't put teams into leagues or competitive games every week, this is a new route I think that people are taking to promote their businesses, to promote children. Is showcasing. So do you think the future may look like a showcase scene where you're going to get a lot more showcase teams? Because I think scouts also, I think from my experience of conversations, enjoy the fact that they can have the boys come in as a group rather than having to go out to a million pitches and teams and games a weekend. If you invite a group of boys in that's handpicked, I think it's easier for them. Do you think that might be the future of that grassroots football moving forward?
100%. I actually I get thanked by a lot of scouts saying this is, as you said, so much easier for them to come and just get 22 players on a pitch or 18 players, whatever it is, 9-a-side, of a high standard, where they haven't got to go and maybe catch 1 or 2 at other games. They're all here in all positions, and we're always trying to get new faces in. So they even communicate with me to say, "Oh, Marcus, we need a striker," or "Marcus, we need a centre back. Can you get one?" So I can say, "Okay, no problem," and then I give them options. And in regards to the future of the showcase systems that are in place, it is changing. And Baller Linkup, I would say we've come on the scene and we're leading the way. The reason why I say that now is not only are we bringing a different kind of level of tournament, but this week we've launched the Baller Linkup Showcase League. Okay, so what I mean by this is we've invited a good few showcase teams, whereas before we'll just kind of organize friendlies. But now we've put it in a league format where we're playing for points as well. So there's that added excitement of not just having a friendly and getting picked up by a scout. There's more to it now. There's more of you're playing to win, and you can see it in a league format. So there's going to be the showcase playoffs. Sorry, the Baller Linkup Showcase League playoffs at the end of the season. So it just makes it so it's almost creating a showcase community where all the coaches can be in alignment instead of it being a thing where we're all rivals. I want us to be together with the same intention of getting, whether it's someone else's team, we're all trying to just get boys developed and pushed on, you know. So it's going to be great, I'm telling you, and we're going to do it in different formats to other leagues as well. So it might be triangular formats, it might be 4-ways, it might be tournament formats, you know. So we're going to come with a new exciting format of football, but primarily to showcase talented boys.
That's brilliant. And I got a question, if you don't mind, if I can just ask Marcus. Yeah, Marcus, because you know that's brilliant, man, and I love what you're doing, and there's so much. I actually personally think that we are coming to a point. You said something earlier where you said that it's nice for the grassroots players to kind of see the academy boys. And I hope what I'm saying is not too controversial, but I'm of the opinion that a lot of grassroots level boys, top elite grassroots players, are as good, if not better, than some of the boys in the academy.
100%.
But also, I'm looking at the stuff that you're doing. Some of the other grassroots teams I can name, like FPF, Levels, Finesse, Hadley. And I would argue that if you were to play a Cat 2, you'd probably bang them up. To be honest with you, I think your group of boys would probably win. Do you think we're moving to a point now where elite grassroots teams is competing with academy, if not better?
Yep, I think that is the case. For example, once again, I could use Baller Linkup under 15s as an example. We played Reading Academy last week Sunday, and we drew 2-2. You know, that's a Cat 1 academy that should be tearing us apart. We went there, and I believe we had one of our players was the best player on the pitch, for example. So a lot of the time, yeah, I believe that a lot of these grassroots boys are better. Well, I know for a fact what's in the academies. They're more hungry, a lot of them. They're training harder. And I do believe the fact that most grassroots boys are playing Saturday and Sunday. I think that's a part of it as well, which is why I do believe the academy boys should be playing both days, depending on the child. You know, my boy, he needs a high level of work to make progress. You get other boys that may not need that level of work rate as well. I understand that, but you shouldn't just, as I said, not let them play, in my opinion, because the academy says they're not allowed. If your child needs to play 2 days, then you do that. Because that's as simple as that. Because if he's not good enough at the end of the season or when his contract finishes, guess what? He gets released. You know what I mean? And they leave you out in the cold. There isn't a lot of support once these boys get released as well. You know, so yeah, you got to do what's right for your child and for his journey.
100%. I hear that. And I got another question, because what you're doing is you're kind of like a unifier. What do I mean by unifier? Usually, when people try and occupy a space, it comes with a lot of resistance. You know that, especially in our country, when anything is new or a new idea, dare I say, any Americans that are watching, we're not like the Americans where we back everything on our corner. We're more apprehensive. But you launched the Baller Linkup thing where we literally had north, south, east, and west. And for me, from what I could hear, it was a huge success. We had the pleasure of playing one of your teams in East London, and mate, I was pleasantly surprised. It was a cracker of a game. How are you able to kind of manage all of the boroughs, and just a bit more information about the league and how you see that working? Because for me, I would argue and say that a lot of the top teams are coming from East London anyway. I would say that because I'm coming from East London, Essex. But how are you going to manage that all?
In terms of, I'm confused.
Of the league that you were saying, are you going to get north, south, east, and west? How's it going to work?
Yeah. All it is, we're going to work around all the schedules, all the leagues, and we will play games any given time. Just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, wherever day we could squeeze it in, we'll work around it. There's, to put it in plain terms, no discrimination. We could get it at any time. You know what I'm saying? We can go any time. Yeah.
I love it.
And this is what I'm saying about the 3 ways, the 4 ways, 4 teams, the mini tournaments. We can just come different with it, you know. So at the moment, we're still gonna navigate and see how it can work. We're still gonna learn on the job, but we've been doing it. That's the bottom line. Every showcase teams makes it happen during the season. So why don't we just put it in a league format and do what we're doing and work together in a more organized way? So we're gonna make it happen, man. There's no doubt.
I love that. And I love the fact that it can be any day. It ain't restricted, because one of my fears was, how does an academy boy who wants to be part of this be part of it? But if you're saying, look, if everyone can do Thursday, then Thursday it is. Let's go 5 o'clock.
Yeah, we played a fixture last week Tuesday, and reason why it's workable is it's unregulated, so any players can join your team. You can have a different team each week. Like for me, my team changes every week because a lot of players aren't available. Some players may miss one of their games for their usual Sunday team or Saturday team because they want to play for us, but they can't do that every week. So each week, different players, even better for the scouts, you know. So, and also scouts may say to me, for example, there's this boy that I want to see. Can you let him play next week in your team? No problem. He comes, he plays with us. Scouts look at him. Opportunities there or not, So it just works for what we're trying to achieve.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dan, I'm gonna steal one more from you. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess you're talking about the scouts and them being able to see other players.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time to maybe hear about some of the success stories. I would love to hear about this young man that stood out against Reading last week. Do you know what I mean? Did they get an opportunity? Because this is what it's all about. And for me, what I'm loving about what Baller Linkup is doing is it's almost like you're raising the bar higher. For me, sometimes I'm looking around me, and I'm not, no disrespect. There's players in the academy that can't trap a ball, and for me, if you can't trap a ball, why are you even in the academy? Why are you even in an EDC? I mean, I'll be hated and I'll be shot down for saying that, but you talked about there being a standard for your club.
Yeah.
Do you see the same standards at the academy? Sorry, I've done my little 2-question thing. So do you see the same sort of standards being exhibited at the academies, but also success stories? It'd be good to hear some of your success stories.
I'll go with the second question first of all. In terms of the standards, no, I don't. I don't feel as though the academies look after the players individually. I think there needs to be a lot more time and investment in enhancing individual players. Okay, so they give you a generic review every 6 weeks where it's very vague. Okay, if they were to focus specifically on what each child needs over a 2-year period, then they'll get a lot more success across the board, and a lot more boys will be becoming pros or getting opportunities in general. But realistically, in academies, I know you would know this, or you've heard this a lot of the time, they only kind of are pushing realistically probably 1 or 2 boys in 3 age groups. That's the truth. The rest of them are just there to kind of assist. All right. Which is why you got the example of, I don't know, you got Max Downman now, who's coming through at Arsenal. All the others around him, they've only really been there to push Max. In Watford, and like I know the same thing there. They've got players there that are nowhere near it, or they're not going to really they're not going to get far. And I said, this goes in 3 age groups. You may have 1 or 2 in the year up or the year down. The rest of them are just there for the sake of it. Do I believe that they could produce more? Yes, they could. If they had the time, money, and energy maybe to really talk to the parents, say, look, this is what your boy needs. We can't offer what he needs here full time, but what we can do is assist you and give you advice. But they don't really do that. And I've seen it, even down to nutrition. They don't tell you anything about how important nutrition is and give you some kind of, guidelines. You don't really get that. So a lot of the academies are failing most of their boys, which is why only 0.5% make it in football, because they're not getting invested in.
And you're gaining success though. You're showing that, boy, if you just put time into them, this is what you can produce. Marcus, do you want to share some of the successes that you've had at Ballers Linkup?
All right, cool. So far we've had, let's go with the last couple of months in terms of the opportunities. We've had 3 boys at Watford had trials. We've had 2 boys at Reading, both been signed. We've got 1 boy right now at Southampton on trial, should be getting a decision soon. We've got 1 boy at Swindon, he's been signed. We've got another boy who went on trial at Newcastle. He managed to get offered from Newcastle, but then he played against Man United, and I've had Man United on my phone, wanting to put him on trial now as well. This year alone, we've had a boy signed to Chelsea. We've had 1 boy signed to Arsenal. We've had 2 at Watford. We've had 1 at Millwall. There's more. Oh yeah, obviously the 2 at Reading that I spoke about as well. So there's more that I can't think of right now. Cambridge, one at Cambridge. So overall, our turnover of boys getting signed is very high. I don't promote it too much. This was intentional at first because a lot of the time the boys would come to us, okay, and our environment alone would be the extra 5% that they would need. Okay, so at the beginning, I didn't want to try and take the credit for other coaches' hard work, you know, and we just give them the extra 5% at the beginning. But now I've realized, and everyone's telling me how important what we do is, because we do get boys over the line, boys that have maybe been on the scene for years, whether it's a thing where they're not on the right platform, or they're not in the right environment, or they just need that extra little bit of, you know, mindset training or investment that we give, we seem to get the boys over the line, you know. So now I will start posting up these boys now. You know what I mean?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
100%.
Why not? Dan, I'm gonna throw to you, but I got a little pad bit of questions here. You know what I'm saying? As Marcus is saying, I'm writing more things.
Yeah, I'm ready to think of it, man.
Yeah,
And I can tell there's going to be a part 2 soon.
Yeah, Marcus, like obviously you've had a lot of success stories, but my questions kind of follow on. So how do you measure success? Is it players being signed? Is it the performance of your showcase teams? Is it scouting opportunities, or is it personal development and progression for the players? So what is success to you?
Success to me is any boy that's involved with us comes out a better player, better principles, better conduct, and enjoys their experience and learns from being with us. And I think that's what we give in abundance. You know, we're not just about football and technical at all. We're about character. You know, we're about the boys, as I said, becoming the best versions of themselves in multiple different ways. You know, so that's mainly, but it can be measured in different ways. Like I said, we stand for a lot of different things. Development. We stand for boys getting signed, boys getting opportunities, you know, and just as I said, boys just leveling up overall. Even sometimes we get boys that are very quiet. They're around us for a bit. We put that battery in their back. They become more social. That alone success, you know. So yeah, there's multiple ways, and we stand for so much. So it's difficult to kind of section it off into one definition of what success is for us.
No, 100%. So, like, you might have heard it because but in previous pods we spoke about this, and I think like we spoke to different people in recruitment, coaching, the clubs, and my personal opinion about it is these young people. We know girls play football, and we appreciate it as well. But I think what we need to look at is these young men are our future leaders. They're the people of our communities. So we talk about being great footballers and everything else. But if you can support these people and your young boys to become great men and examples beyond football, I think that's what, as a community, as a world life community, that's what we need to do. Because there's so many things happening in the world today that you hear so much negativity around young boys, especially. If we can create 1% more better boys, rounded individuals, this football thing is just a hand in hand parcel, which is great and success and joyful, and it's universal language. So I think what you stand for, we spoke about this numerous times in the pod, and I am a great advocate for understanding that if you can make better individuals, only that's always going to be a positive. And that success I look at with my showcase, and I find it hard sometimes where you talk to parents, and the only guarantee I give parents is in my showcasing is I'll present opportunities. That's the only thing I guarantee, because everything else is out of my control. Yeah, and I think listening to you, and it's great to hear someone else that does the same kind of category of football. What I currently do is you have success and you stand for the same values, and I think that's what we need to do as well. And it's like what you said. There's so many. Everyone's got to be a competitor. Always competing against each other. Then if you become a youth as they just said unify everyone together. This can only be great for everybody else. That end of the day, the boys benefit more than anybody. That's what we all say we're here to do: help the boys develop and benefit. So why are we competing to do the same thing? Why can't we unify and do what you're trying to do there? That the Baller Linkup League sounds great, and hopefully it works and it becomes like the Baller League. As quick as that's coming around and being good, why can't Baller Linkup League be as big eventually in youth football?
Exactly that. And let me give you, and you've got it spot on in regards to us working together. So an example was this. Yesterday I played Croydon District yesterday. Yeah, Clinton, the coach there, great guy again. He's doing a lot of work with us in regards to the Baller Linkup League. He's kind of, he's fully involved with it as well, okay? But yesterday, his boys, their energy during the game just wasn't up to the standard, okay? So I've gone to his boys and I've told them, look, I said to them, boys, I need more from you. Yeah, I said, this here, I said, it's not separate. I said, we're all together. I said, on that pitch there, we're all one. Do you understand? I want to see everyone here perform to the best of their ability and get opportunities. So I said, there's no difference between me and your coach. We're all here to support all the boys. Yeah. And I said, so therefore, when you go back out there, go and raise your level. I'm trying to urge his boys to raise their standards and do better than they were doing, and making them realize we're not competing against each other. You know, we're all one. So, and this is how I want the league to be. I don't want it to be a thing where it's just rivalry. Do you understand? Sometimes too much rivalry can be damaging. Okay. If we're all trying to push each other in terms of the coaches coming together and, as I said, show unity, all be in alignment to push everybody on that pitch, what happens then? We get an amazing display of football from both sides and more opportunities.
Marcus, you're speaking to me. You had me finger pointing at the screen, bro, because I feel like I'm speaking to my brother.
You are, bro.
And the reason why I say this, bro, is because a lot of time I hear people tell me, Dej, you focus too much on other people's kids. Do you know what I mean? You should be more focused on your boy, you know, or them. I could tell, man, I could have bought myself a bloody private jet. The amount of times I've heard that, man, I just give a damn about my child, no one. But for me, my thing is about all of the kids, and what you said. If everyone's good, then that means your child is playing in a better environment. They be better and the others be better. I'm not afraid of my child. Like already today, I just got the news about the borough that I live in, the district. The first thing I've done is I've been on the blower to all the guys that I know whose kids are top ballers. Have you got the call? Have you got the call? Have you got the call? I could have just kept that info to myself. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And then and make sure that there's a higher probability that my son can make it. But I'm saying, nah. Yeah, if my son is really that guy, he can be that guy with all of the best guys there. Simple. But 100%. Also, do you know what I'm saying? But also, like the fact that you're pushing. And I wrote here on my piece of paper, I feel like you're doing the work for the FA, because the FA talks about how they're trying to level up the grassroots game. Yeah. I'm not sure how they're trying to level it up with no resource, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. But you're literally doing the work for the FA, because if this blows the way we believe it to blow, the country's better, which means that at the top of the pyramid, we will see better performances at the top end, and that might even have an impact on the international team. Because one of the questions we used to throw at each other as brothers in this space was, you know, would England ever win the World Cup? And the reason why we asked that question is because with some of the kind of madness that goes on in the academies, it's not rocket science why the Spanish seem to have more ballers, because they're more about the baller than the technicalities, if you know what I mean. Sorry, I was just rambling.
Yeah, I fully agree with what you're saying there. And going back to, as you people saying, to focus on your own child, the reason why I think Baller Linkup has done so well as well is because I treat every child that's kind of involved with us, I've got integrity. Yeah. So I treat every child like they're my son, okay? And I treat every parent as I'd want to be treated. So that goes a long way, which is why I've get boys. My son's at a Cat 2 right now, no problem. But I'm pushing boys to get loads of them at Cat 1s. So it's not. So as I said, I want for my son or for the boys that I work with the same as my son. They're all my children. That's the honest truth. And any parent that you speak to about me and they work with me closely, they'll tell you the same thing, you know, and that's how it's supposed to be. Boys getting opportunities to change their lives. You know, this is what we're ultimately here to do. But I said, not all going to be footballers, but it's what they can get from the journey. They get to be, you know, disciplined boys. They know about nutrition. They know about training. They know about conduct, behavior, you know. So they get so much from the journey of being elite level athletes that are transferable to other areas of life that just will make a better person in general. So I'm enthusiastic about being a part of that.
I just wanted to
Marcus,
ask one question. Go on then. Go on then.
like Mark, so this is talk about opportunities. I'm gonna kind of jump back a little bit. How good does it feel for you, Marcus, when you get a phone call from Man United, yeah, from Arsenal, from Chelsea, from Reading, from Swindon, and say, Marcus, we want one of your boys to come in. Then you have to give that, as you said, these are like all your boys is your son. So you're giving this same news over and over again to your son. How good does that feel to hear those comments from a professional in that elite environment, and you're going back to his parents that really want to hear this news? How much joy do you get from that?
That's what feeds me every day. That's why I'm always animated. People saying, how have you got so much energy? So it's like every day I'm getting injected with just positivity, you know, because it's rewards on a regular basis. It's not a thing where I'm not in it for the money. The money will come eventually. Do you understand? But because it's business at the same time as well. Yeah. It's not a charity, but it's the kids first. You know, I was doing this for free prior to me doing Baller Linkup. I was giving advice. I was helping kids. I was giving out programs, you know. So it is my passion away from any kind of money at all, first and foremost. So for me, it's now what I live for, which is why I can have minimal sleep. I can wake up, yeah, full of energy to go again because I love what I do. And I love getting the boys opportunities. And I know there's going to be so much more.
Love that.
So
Great.
Yeah.
Des, you can jump.
I'm in journey, and we're only just getting started. That's the thing. We're only just getting started.
I mean, Marcus, I've only just met you today, and it takes quite a lot to move me. I'm not gonna lie, bro. But sold. I can't lie, bro. Sold. You know them ones. It's really quite inspirational stuff. I just want to ask you some basics. So, what are the age groups that you work with?
At the moment, it's like under 9s to under 16s at the moment. We do have a few older boys as well that are coming on the scene, but I'm still learning how to deal with the older boys. I specialize in academy, so I scout for a lot of the clubs as well. You know, I'm a Watford scout. I scout for QPR, and I send boys. I'm very close to, as I said, all clubs literally. Where I've got head of recruitment phoning my phone regular basis. Okay. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
No. So you were just sharing with us your team, and do you have multiple teams in those age ranges, or you just have the one?
I've got multiple teams in the under 14s age group. That's where it started off with. Obviously, my son's under 14, so I've got like 3 teams. I've got an all academy team where sometimes I get all the academy boys together in the breaks, and we put on high level fixtures for them. And then I've got 2 other high level teams as well in that age group. I could facilitate 2 teams when everybody's available in other age groups as well, but it's very difficult when, you know, they got their teams at the same time. But we have got a lot of boys for sure.
In terms of your kind of links with the academies, one of the things that I would like to know from your perspective, because what's clear from speaking to you is that you have a vision of how you see the game, and you haven't allowed yourself to be swayed or diluted by what the noise has told you. You've got your vision and you've stuck with it. As a scout now, how does that impact the decisions that you make? Because for me, again, you can tell I have a bugbear, but it very much feels like the academies are profiling. You know, the brother can't kick a ball, but because they're 6'5",
Yeah.
they're in. Yeah. And for me, that doesn't make sense. It will never make sense to me. I don't care. But for someone like yourself who is in that space and you've got strong opinions, how do you navigate that space with the boys that you work with and the clubs that you service?
Well, for me, I tell the heads of recruitments that I don't agree with certain things, you know, because that is the common situation right now. They want pace, power, and, you know, 6'5". You know what I'm saying to you? Boys, that's the truth. That's what's getting signed. They're putting the technical last, you know, and I've sat in academy meetings and they've actually said that look, we're not too worried about technicals, and so the boys that come in here, they're going to be athletic, they're not going to be that good technically, they're not going to be good enough for Cat 1s, but they'll get a Cat 1 trial. It's like they've specified what they're looking for, and technicals isn't one of them, you know. So the game's changed 100%. The less powerful boys and the boys that are smaller are getting discriminated against. They're not getting opportunities, you know. But this is one of the issues of English football at the moment. And I'm not too sure how it's going to get resolved, because the more powerful boys do get results at this age. You know, that is the reality.
You just kind of answered my question right at the end there. I think you said at this age. So are we talking under 11s? Are we talking about the transition from 7-a-side football to 9-a-side, where you see this happening more?
I see it more like, under 11s to under 14s, I'd say, between those age groups there. It's not as much lower down, like under 9s, under 10s, but it's still there. But as they get a bit older, when they start hitting that kind of puberty level, and the disparity just goes to a whole nother level where you got men and you got kids almost, that's when I'm seeing it happening. Like, I'm not going to mention any clubs directly, but there's some big boys there that, as you said, can't even control a ball. They got no technical ability whatsoever, but they're signed, you know. And
how much do you attribute that to the pitch sizes? Sorry, if any, the pitch size changing and it becoming closer to 11-a-side football.
Yeah, I do believe that's a big thing, because I know a couple of boys personally that technically they were gifted. They were at Cat 1 clubs, and as soon as they got to 11-a-side, they got released because they couldn't handle the demands of the 11-a-side pitch. They got swallowed up for a while. They just couldn't adapt, and they weren't given a chance to adapt. They weren't given any programs to say, okay, let's work on their speed or their fitness or their physicality. They just released them, you know. So I think they're going in the wrong way. As I said, if they were to focus more on helping the boys individually and the areas where they may be lacking and give them some time, then they'll get the best of both worlds. They'll get boys that are more, that can handle the demands of the pitch and being physical, but also technical geniuses. One of them is technical. Technical is just a whole nother level, but they released him, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
So crazy. Barcelona had Messi, didn't they? Right. To your point, Barcelona had Messi, who was undersized and probably still is undersized, but obviously a technical genius. But they gave him some kind of hormone steroid to help him grow. I'm not saying that's what you're suggesting, but you're certainly suggesting recognizing the talent and working with the talent and helping with this areas where they're lacking with its physicality, speed, stamina, strength, etc. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
100%.
And I hear that.
And this is, once again, this is another area that Baller Linkup are offering behind the scenes. You know, we do offer, you know, programs for boys as well to work on those grey areas. So there's so much more needed. A lot of parents just think they got to take their child to these one-to-one coaches or even group sessions and that's enough. No, there's so much more behind the scenes that could be done, even down to just the mindset alone. Everyone's investing in the technicals. This here is the most important thing before the technicals, in my opinion, and it's not invested in enough.
I think there's so many questions that you've already answered for that, just in general speaking. But I think aside from the Baller Linkup League that you've got planned, what's next and what's the next evolution for you guys?
Next evolution, well, we're currently organizing a lot of tournaments as well, showcase tournaments. We've done, as you know, we did a few small ones, but we're looking to take it to another level now over the next few months that we've got booked in. We've also got a London against North England showcase coming up soon as well. So we're taking it, you know, across the country. We've got actually a showcase event happening on the 12th of October in Wembley, where, you know, talented boys from different age groups, from under 10, under 13, get the opportunity to perform in front of, you know, certified academy scouts with genuine opportunities. And we've got a lot more. So there's a lot happening over the next few months. That's real opportunities. It's not a platform that's here to deceive, or it's genuine. You know, we get results and we're here to really push these boys if they're of the talent.
I guess you just touched on something there, Marcus, about deceive and not trying to deceive. Do you have a mantra that you go by, if you haven't covered that already?
In terms of, could you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, so I don't know Baller Linkup. Well, I do. But if I didn't know Baller Linkup, what is your sales pitch to me as a parent? You've seen my child play, or I've come to you and said, I would like my child to join you. What do you sell me? What is your mantra?
Well, one of our phrases is we unlock new levels. Okay, so we're not here as much to focus on the technicals of the boy. It's more the mindset, it's more working on their vocality. If they're not that vocal, we work on that. Their physicality, their aggression, their pitch presence. A lot of what parents aren't told is football. A lot of it's about acting, you know, a lot of it, you know. The fact remains is this. If you think about a football game or a match, I'm going to call it that, the boy or the player is only on the ball probably for about maybe, 1 minute maximum in the game. Yeah. So for whatever, 79 minutes, if you are playing a 14 or 30, under 13s of the game, you're off of the ball. So predominantly, it's what you do away from that ball, that matters. Obviously, when you get on there for the 1% or whatever it is, you make magic happen. You do good things, but most of it away from the ball. So that's acting, that's being vocal, that's being physical, that's showing your fitness, that's running at speed, showing your how fast you are, you know. So this is about educating the parents, you know, on the off the ball work, because usually all they're focusing on is the technicals when they're on the ball, when they're hardly on the ball anyway. So it's about making them look at the game from a different perspective and focus on other things. That's what we do.
Yeah, and you know what? Why I think that's bang on, because that actually happened today in our game. One of the boys got scouted, and they got scouted. When the scout spoke to me, it wasn't about what necessarily they did on the ball. Obviously, they did good things on the ball, but more importantly, in the position they played, it was about the concentration and their actions that they did off the ball, their vocal nature off the ball leading when this side was dominant and making sure things that they mentioned. So it's bang on to what you were saying. So the mantra passed the test is what I would say.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So just about educating the parents, I think, and the children or the boys or girls on the stuff that you're not generally told, and looking at things from a different perspective. That's how you grow, you know. So that's what we do, man. We cover a lot of the gray areas of the game.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that, Marcus. I mean, I feel like
makes sense.
I love the fact that you call it acting. I love that, but it's so important, and I feel like a lot of the stuff you said it does get overlooked for the glitz and the glam, but actually there's a lot of dirty work that needs to go on behind the scenes that people need to look at. And the fact that you're educating the parents, I feel like the parents who are fortunate enough to work with Baller Linkup, I'm guessing will be probably be the parents that are probably most grounded. The amount of parents who have inflated expectations for their children is mad. So to have you guys just kind of bring that reality, like you said earlier in the pod, I think is so important. So Marcus, I just want to, before I wrap up, it's some practical things. We do this, but I feel like those listening are really wanting to know. We got an opportunity to play your East London, I think, Baller Linkup. It was a great game. It was with Playball. Couple questions, because you know I like to do my little bundle of questions. If you're not careful, there won't be any teams to play because everybody would have joined Baller Linkup. So I hope you thought about that first and foremost. But how does because I remember playing against your group. I think Andrew, we were all there, weren't we? We were all there for that game. How do they get in contact? Our kids are all under 11. How do they get in contact?
Yeah.
How does it work? And you know, you're surrounded by other grassroots teams from the recent tournament you had. You all have ballers that you could tap into.
Yeah.
So yeah, how do people get involved? Because we're in Essex, East London, but you're in Northwest. You know, Wembley is a trek for us, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, we play games all over. Okay, so it's not a thing where we only play games at home. You know, where we've got what I say to parents is as well, if you are serious about getting involved and you want to go to academies, when you're there, you're traveling all over the country. So you cannot now, at this stage here, say we're not going to travel to around London because this is a part of the football game. So get used to it from now. And I'll be honest with you, I made that mistake a few years ago. When I had the opportunity, when Keon, my son, wasn't still playing in Grassroots, I could have gone to a much better team that was like an hour away from me, and I didn't. Now, hindsight, I wish I did, because I think that he would have been even further on in his development now had I made that sacrifice years ago. So I feel as I missed out on a certain part. So I advise them, don't make the same mistake as me. If you can do it and you can travel and go and train your boy in a certain area, then do it. You won't regret it, you know. So with us, we are also setting up sites in different areas. So we will be in East London soon. So not to come and cause any issues with anybody else.
Bring the fire. Bring the fire.
Say bring the fire. No, but you know, I'm just going to jump in on that, Marcus. Sorry, I'm just going to jump in on that because myself and Dan have this conversation often about distance and where it's too far. And I think we've largely concluded that what you said, if you're playing for academy, unless you're playing for where we are, Dej, well, where myself and Dan are, unless you're joining a certain North London club or an East London club, you're pretty much traveling 45 minutes. Even to the other North London club, you're traveling 45 minutes on a bad day to an hour, right? If you're joining, say, the Hertfordshire club, you're traveling 45 minutes an hour. So anywhere you're traveling, that's just to go to home games where you have to be there an hour before, right? And then you're playing for 80 minutes if you're playing at home. But like you said, you could be playing on the South Coast. That's 2.5 hours away. So there is travel involved. So if it's the right setup, then at this stage, when the boys are 10, 11, 12, you've got to be prepared for some travel. Because where you want them to get to, there's going to be travel. So your point's 100% valid. I make you right.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, that's what it's about. So it's just trying to educate parents on the mistakes or the learning curves that I've been through, and I'll try and relay that to them. You know, it's just a part of football, as we spoke about. So, but yeah, we're looking to expand around London. We've got a site actually in Reading already that's been going for a few months. That's doing well as well, because there was a big demand. We had a lot of boys coming from, you know, out of London to us. I've also been asked to put a Baller Linkup in Portsmouth, because we've got quite a lot of links to them as well. We've got a boy on trial there as well, and I talked to the head of recruitment there, and he's asked me, can you do one near us? So we're actually being asked to put up centres in different parts of the country. So that's another focus of ours, but there's just so much to do, but we don't want to do too much at once and not do it to an elite level as well.
Marcus, love that. Look, I've got one question at the end. It might be inappropriate, but I think I will ask this because I think it's probably best placed for yourself.
Yeah.
Myself, Andrew, Dan, and some of the other panelists that often appear on Ball at All Costs, we always have this debate about which area is strongest. I have my own personal opinions. I think you mentioned South London and earlier in the pod, and I wonder whether you still have that opinion. From your experience, from what you've seen, is there a difference in the areas that the kids are developing in? Is some areas sharper than most? I know people watch the documentary South of the River, but now I'm thinking the greener pastures of Essex. That was just a joke. Let me know from your perspective what you've seen, and is there a difference in the areas?
Yeah, 100%. And I think personally, the most talent is in South London. And the reason why I say that, I think it's cultural. I think it's a hardship. I think, and I say to a lot of the boys that I deal with, they live a good life. Parents, you know, like wealthy, so they don't have the same hunger. When you've got the boy on the estate, single parent family, mum struggling on benefits, you know, there's either two ways: go to crime and that life, or try and make it out of football. They're going to be on that pitch with a different vision, a different meaning to why they're there than when you've got someone that lives in a nice house, everything's good, private school. They're okay either way, you know. So I just feel as though, and also the culture of South London with the cages, the type of football they play, the examples of the boys or the professionals that have come out of their system or of that community, it's motivational. So they're going to try and emulate them as well. There's a certain style about a South London player, and it's the truth. So for me, yeah, South London is where that I'm most excited about in general, in terms of producing the top talent.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think this is Marcus. I think it's been lovely, man. I mean, we could go on, and I think definitely we need to do a part 2. I think there's something about linking up with you and that the Ballers Linkup League that sounds really exciting. I love the fact that it's flexible. Let's make it happen. And almost, I think the best way to describe Ballers Linkup in a way is you're kind of moving like district, or almost replacing district, because for those who, for whatever reason, don't get into their district teams, you know, you've got another avenue through Ballers Linkup where you're playing with top ballers week in, week out to sharpen the tools. And then also you've got this, it takes a village to raise a child kind of mentality. I think it's excellent work, and, you know, wishing you, you know, the utmost success What a pleasure to have you speak with us this evening. We just need to get some credentials now. We need some information. Ballers Linkup. How can we find you? Where can we find you? Training, all of the locations, up and coming events, so that we can make sure that that place is ram up full of people from East London, Essex. Because as much as I appreciate your opinion on South London, I still think there's a new king on the block emerging. But that's something that we'll need to talk about when we see you face to face. Your credentials, where can people find Ballers Linkup? Where can they connect? The up and coming events that people need to be tapping into. Please, can you just share that with us real quick?
Yeah, so it's always best to either email us, info@ballerlinkup.com. We've got the Instagram as well. You can DM us, or my number's kind of floating around in a lot of the flyers or our events organizer, Faizan. So there's lots of information in terms of how to contact us as well on the scene.
Fantastic. And that thing that Dan mentioned earlier, the 12th of October, that's the Wembley showcase. Right?
That's the showcase from, I think it's under 10s to under 13s, which is going to be some top talent there, a heavy presence of scouts, and real opportunities, providing the boys are of the standard required.
So would it be wise for anyone wanting to do that to come to your kind of training session first? Because I can just anticipate people watching wanting to tap in, but you were very clear that they had to be ballers. And I'm not being funny. There's ballers and there's ballers. We all think our kids are ballers, but there's levels to this. What should someone do?
Yeah, exactly that. So as you said, to further what you said, I say there's levels to levels. Okay, and that's So we train at Ruislip Goals, for those that don't know, but like Northwest London, on a Monday and Friday, 6 till 7:30. We've also got the older age group, under 14s to under 19s actually. That's at Norfolk High School, every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 till 8. So they can just, if they want more information, hit me up, and I'll let them know what to do and how to come down. But it would be best to come to the sessions, so we can see where they're at, maybe tweak a few things, so when they do go out on the platform, they're ready.
So, Dan, do you have a question before I go?
I have so many, but not that I can think of that appropriate. We covered so much already. I think I'll save a lot of my questions for part 2. I think we'll do part 2, when East London and Essex revive and come to the top.
Sorry,
you guys are starting something.
When East London and Essex revive and come to the top.
Yeah, cool. Let's go, man.
We've got unfinished business.
Yeah, let's do it, man. 100%. Let's do it. So but literally, let me know when you want to do part 2. I'll make sure that I'm fully prepared on the laptop next time, so I'm not changing to 100 different locations, and and I'll be ready.
Yeah, I'm not going to be funny. I joined it late, Marcus, and I just saw part of your face. I thought you were on the run. I didn't want to say anything. But no, it makes sense. I'm joking. I knew it was just where your location, because I realized you're in your car. But anyway, let me hit you with our last question before we go. We always ask our guests this question. But before you answer this question, you have to help make it happen. All right? Yeah. So you got to promise that. So the question is, I don't know how many episodes you've seen, but is there anybody you think would be good to come on this show and join us as a guest? And before you say yes, you have to help us make that happen.
I think it'd be good to get a scout on your show for sure. Another scout. To get, once again, to give more of an insight to the viewers of what's needed, what they're thinking directly. I think that would be a good thing, and I can make it happen. Yeah, I can definitely help out with that for sure.
Perfect. Listeners, you've heard it here first. Marcus is going to get a Cat 1 scout on the pod. No, you didn't say Cat 1. I'm just putting that in.
I'll get Cat 1. I'll get a Cat 1 because I'm Cat 2, so I'll get you a Cat 1.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate that. Perfect. And can I just say to all the listeners that are locked on, telling their friends, sharing the pod, we respect and love you for that. All of the ones that are sending us messages telling us about how much they're enjoying the show, we appreciate every one of you. The ones that are not sending messages, we still appreciate you because we can see that you are listening and we can see that you are subscribing. So we are thankful. So please keep it going. Please subscribe. Please like or smash the like button. Hit the notification. Leave a comment. Hit us up. Tell us what you think Marcus was like, whether he was good, whether he's bad, whether you liked his location changes, whether you liked him in the darkness, whether you liked what he was saying, most importantly. Right?
Andrew.
Yes,
sorry,
my friend.
we have to explain today. We've now joined another platform.
Hit me.
The Apple Music, no? Is that right? I got called today.
Oh,
week,
yeah, finally. Yeah, finally. Guys, that's a very good shout. I've been struggling to get us on Apple Music for the longest time. And because I'm not on Apple, I was like, But one of our friends and keen want to be listener refused to listen on any other platform. But we finally are on Apple Podcast. All of our episodes are on there. So guys, you can reach us on the audio platforms as well. Spotify, Apple, Castbox, everywhere you can get a podcast, we are now there. So no excuses. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We know you are true to this. Let's get involved with the ones that are new to this.
Congratulations on that as well, man. That's a big move. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Very big move. Very big move. Well, on that note, again, thank you, Marcus. Until the next episode, we're out.
Peace, man.